Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you are connecting from. As usual, we are very much delighted to welcome you all for our innovation sessions. I believe most of us are now familiar with our sessions happening each 2 months, but as a reminder, we have an interpretation for English and French speakers. So to select the language of your choice, go below to your screen and click on interpretation icon. My name is Emmerance. I'm the acting CEO and programs officer of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, and I will be facilitating this session along with my colleague, Ms. Isolina BOTO, the head of network and alliance at COLEACP, who will be moderating the panel discussions. So this involves on different thematics in the framework of existing partnership between PAFO and COLEACP to scale up the innovations and successes of African farmers-led businesses and innovations. So for today's session, we are going to focus on women's-led agribusinesses in Africa by putting accent on what are the key drivers of their successes, how to upscale the investment, and what are incentives to attract and retain women's-led agribusinesses. So from today's panel, we will hear different innovations that I believe are going to inspire most of us. So as we proceed, we look forward to having an active and fruitful session, knowing that you can always put in chat box your questions, your comments. So towards the end of this session, we will have time to consolidate all your questions for our panelists to answer. Also, for your information, you can still watch our previous sessions of Innovation Series. They are always available either on our website or YouTube channel of both PAFO and COLEACP. So as I conclude, let me seize this opportunity to once again convey our appreciation to more than 1,000 participants registered. We do appreciate your continuous support throughout your participation and feedbacks. I would also like to extend our gratitude to our panelists and discussants for responding to our invitation. And we are grateful to our different partners, both technical and financial. So without further ado, and before handing over to Isolina, I'm honored to invite my president, the president of Pan-African Farmers Organization, Mr. Kolyang PALEBELE, for an official opening. Monsieur le Président, vous avez la parole pour l'ouverture officielle. Merci.
Thank you very much, Emmerance. It wasn't easy to get hold of you, but we managed. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, good morning. I would like to welcome you to the 9th innovation session of PAFO and COLEACP. Today's topic is success from women-led agribusinesses in Africa. Women control a very important segment of trade in Africa, from production of agricultural goods that are then commercialized. Our topic, women in agro-business, shows that Africa needs audacity in terms of politics and investment, and they need to translate in a great number of women that are successful entrepreneurs and sustainable entrepreneurs, because we are striving to develop agribusiness in Africa. Throughout the continent, it is necessary to interact with people from all over the continent and learn more about the various ways they work in their different countries. It is also very important to share information. Throughout the world, women overcome all the obstacles to generate profitable companies in the farming sector. Strong ties with the market and access to financing and training are necessary if women are to overcome these different hurdles they're facing in order for them to develop their companies and be competitive on a global scale. Women's self-sufficiency, thanks to their increased action in this sector, is essential if we want to transform productivity and prosperity of the players in the sector. The future of our continent is dependent on this. Female companies are essential and should enable companies to access high added value markets. They should be able to connect with the major global players. Reinforcing capacities and support through mentoring are essential for the trade successes of these new agribusiness companies. And women should get this support they need to reach these goals. Women's capacity to organize themselves, mobilize themselves, to handle their own difficulties and problems and overcome them is extremely important. And I hope that this innovations series will bring you insights into these successes from women-led agribusinesses in Africa. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I wish you a very fruitful meeting. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your great words and for opening this session. Now I would like to hand over to Isolina to proceed with other discussions. Thanks, and over.
Thank you very much, President, for joining us from Chad and for all the support that PAFO, through also Emmerance and new members, give to this series. We are, as we said many times before, very, very pleased to do that together. And indeed, you summarize very well in an holistic manner the key issues we are discussing today. So without a further delay, I would like to give the floor really to the women entrepreneurs, who are the ones that do in the field the hard work, that succeed, I mean, despite many obstacles actually, and sometimes not enough, very few opportunities. We have today 4 entrepreneurs on different value chains across different countries in Africa, and we will be joined by 3 experts as well from different organizations supporting women entrepreneurs in different aspects, which is also very, very important. So without major delay now, in the interest of time, I will give the floor to Yvonne OTIENO. She's the director of Miyonga Fresh Greens in Kenya. She's it's a Kenyan company established in 2014 and exporting fresh fruits and vegetables to the regional market in Africa, but also to the European Union. She has developed a network of over 5,000 smallholders in Kenya, and she really supports them to also not only to produce in a sustainable way, but to reduce food waste. That for us is very, very important. We promote sustainable and green agriculture. She has been receiving multiple awards from different organizations. She was elected among the top 50 innovators in Africa at the recent Africa Innovation Summit. So I know that you are very, very committed to food security reduction, food waste, and also empowering youth and women in agribusiness. And we have also many, not only women, but youth as well, young women. And thank you very much to the people registered today. We have been Axel, happy birthday, Axel, by the way. Axel was telling me that about half are men and half women. So we are very, very happy as well with participation from our men colleagues. So without delay, Yvonne, please.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shola. It is a real pleasure to be able to share and talk about the success factors, the challenges, and what are some of the lessons that I would like to share. So,
Yvonne, did we lose you? We cannot hear you. I don't know. I see you, but I cannot hear you, Yvonne. Are you muted?
oh Lord.
No, now it's fine.
I'm not.
Now it's fine. Hold on, please. Go ahead.
Okay, good. So I don't know how much you actually had. So I'll start again. I'll start by introducing Miyonga Fresh Beans. It's a company that's based in Nairobi, Kenya, and we work with the exports of both fresh fruits, dried fruits, and powders to the European market. In the recent 3 years, our main focus has been on the dried fruits that you have seen on the screen. But we did not begin as an export company. We began as farmers. And most times when I introduce myself, I don't use all the titles that Isolina has used. I just tell people I'm a farmer. And people ask me, why do you say you're a farmer? And I remind them that the very reason they're still having a conversation with me or they're on this call is because they probably had a meal. If you had 3 days, 5 days without a meal, which came from a farmer, then you probably not have the energy to speak. So farmers play a very important role when it comes to sustainability and just making sure that the livelihoods can actually go on. So as a company, you can go to the next slide. When we first began, we began as farmers, and our main interest at that point was to help to create employment for women in rural Kenya. However, we got to realize that about 40% of the food goes to waste, and the waste is usually for cosmetic reasons. Besides that, there are other challenges that actually face people within the food system, that is including the issue of pests and diseases, high temperatures. And then what that translates to is that despite having a high demand for foods, a lot of it is going to waste at the farm gate level. So what we had to do, which then points to the next step that we actually had to take as a business, was to see what are the innovations that we can come with to help meet this challenge. So if you want to note the things that we had to think about as a business to help us be successful, one of them was the issue of coming up with solutions to problems that we had faced. So very specifically related to this innovation series, one of the challenges that we were facing was the seasonality of fruits, which means, and this is not just unique to Kenya, it's in various African countries where there are seasons when there's plenty of fruit, there are seasons there's not too much fruit. And then what then that translates to is that when one fruit is on season, part of it gets to go to waste. And then because of the distance and the climatical zones that crops grow from, it means that there are regions where there is a factory, but this factory is almost idle half the year. And either you have to incur high logistical costs that would require that you have to travel long distances to get the raw materials that you need for processing. And then globally, that just makes your price uncompetitive. So those are just general challenges and unique challenges that helped us to come up with an innovation to solve the problem. But besides that, some of the challenges that we faced initially as a business is that we were running our business as farmers, and we're not looking at it as an agribusiness. So what that led us to do was to actually enroll in a business entrepreneurship program that helped us as a company learn how to not just operate as farmers, but run your business with the business principles that any other business would work with. And so the climate adaptation measures we used to address the challenges that we faced was one of them, trying to get fruits from different ecological zones. And that meant you had to train farmers to see that they are growing the correct variety of crops that's in high demand. And then our second innovation, and this is Willing Fruits, which will be a mobile factory that should be able to move from region to region and process the fruits when it's in season. And now we are looking at a bigger opportunity to see whether we can have a central facility where all the fruits, after they've been processed from different regions, can actually be packed and exported. Just from that, you'll notice that one of the challenges that I've not mentioned is the market wide, because in the food industry, we are currently experiencing a situation where the demand for what you're producing is actually higher than supply. So what then that has meant is that we've had to have partnerships with people from different regions in different countries to see if they can support our supply chain system. So our current growth plan and vision is to, of course, increase as a company and have more of these mobile food factories in different regions of the country, establish a central packing facility, and have a franchise model where everything we have learned about our business we can actually share to others. Now, I will go to the next slide, and probably I will ask that you probably go back to the first slide, because at this point, I want to highlight some of the things that helped us or maybe just go to the next slide. So Lina, yes, some of the things that helped us as a business actually work into success. Number one was, I mentioned the realization that first we began as farmers, 1.5 acres of land. We didn't even have a lease. We didn't own the land, and we didn't have a contract. So the learning from there was that we had to run our business professionally, and we involved ourselves in a program. It's called Synapse, that helped us then grow from just being farmers to business people. But in the whole process, we didn't just grow to a company that's now exporting to almost 7 different countries in the world overnight. We also had various partners. So I would say the second resource that helps women entrepreneurs be very successful is if you have a network of partners that would help you. Like for us to actually work out and come up with the different models that we had for our business. We were involved in various partnerships that included a program that was run by the International Trade Center that helped us how to run integrate sustainability programs in our production. And through that, we were able to partner with we were partnered with the German Development Corporation and a program called Water and Energy for Food, because when you're working in the food industry, especially in production as a farmer, if you need, one of the other challenges you face is financing, and sometimes the financing is involved to train the farmers to make sure that they can actually grow what they need. And if you do approach a bank to ask them to fund you to train farmers, it's not going to happen. Let me not even say probably, no, it is not going to happen. But working with development partners, we've been able to at least target the training of 2,400 farmers, training them on getting good global, that's global gap, as well as now we are getting into the second phase where we want them to get organic certification. And though it may not have like immediate results, the results are usually long-term. So that's quite helpful for us. Then the third thing that was also quite helpful for us was when you're coming up with innovations as a business, more people will not fund an innovation. They'll only fund you when they start to see the results of the innovation. So partnering with organizations that actually see the potential of your innovative solution is also quite helpful. They helped us in, we're involved in a program known as the Lab for Tomorrow. So they played an important role in carrying out the research and feasibility study that informed a lot of the decisions that we did in the end. And then the third thing, and probably the last thing, just what I can allow my other colleagues to also share their success factor, was our focus then changed as from just trying to be a profitable business, but being an impactful business. This means that we just didn't want to grow as a business, but make sure that the community, we're having an impact in the community that we are serving, and making sure that our production systems are sustainable. And in the end, if as a business, you have an impact in the community. And this also determines your own values. Are you all about profits, or do you put people before the profits? Then that helps you to have more focus, so that you're looking at solving the solution, not just for yourself in terms of the revenues you're making, but the solutions, the problems that the community is actually having for a long-term and sustainable business growth. So that will be the summary of what we as Miyonga are doing. We have a goal, of course, to work to reach about 30,000 farmers across Africa. And the only reason that might be possible is because, number one, when you look at the African farming, most of it is not huge tracts of farms. It's people who just have smallholder farms with small acreage, and some have a few trees. And for us to get the volumes we need, we have to aggregate them in different groups and then collect from them. And then in that whole process, you're talking about creating jobs for people across the value chain, and the lives of the families of the people that you have employed then get impacted. So that's the summary about Miyonga, and we're happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yvonne. I liked very much the presentation, and this from being profitable to being impactful business says it all, actually. The impact on the communities, on the smallholders you employ, you train, on the youth and women, and of course the key part of having partners and networks. Actually, in all the studies you can read about the obstacles to women entrepreneurs is also access to networks and business networks. So it's critical what the colleagues from ITC, GIZ and others like COLEACP do for the entrepreneurs, and it's never enough. And this is one of the reasons we also do these sessions with PAFO, hoping that, you know, among ourselves and attracting many more, we can support farmers and entrepreneurs. So without a major delay, and I encourage you to put your insights or your questions, comments in the chat. I give the floor to Salma ABDULAI, who is the co-founder and CEO of the Amaati group in Ghana. We go to West Africa now. Amaati is a company which processes and distributes fonio. I think most of you would know, but if not, I encourage you to taste it. I have done that. It's a nutritious and climate-resistant indigenous cereal, which is both in the local and export market. Actually, is being very, very successful now in export markets as well. So, Salma, you are behind the revival of fonio in Ghana, in northern Ghana. You work with farmers very closely, especially women, not only on producing and processing fonio, but also in working in very degraded or abandoned lands. So that is also very important, and touch one of the aspects with the environment and the land issue. I give you the floor now. Salma, if you are ready.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, and I'm glad to participate and share our experiences and, you know, how we were able to scale up, how we work with women. Amaati company was founded in 2013, and we started working with 10 landless women, women who didn't have land. And it didn't start as a social enterprise. It started as an NGO to help women to access degraded lands to cultivate fonio. And the reason we did that was because the savannah zone in Ghana inherit patrilineally, so women don't own land, and it was becoming very difficult for women to have access to land to farm. And it was compromising on food security because women were not participating in our culture as such. They were just used as labor. So the passion was to get women have access to land, and so that they could grow any crop that they wanted. So we decided to go with fonio because it's the crop that could grow on the marginal lands without fertilizer application. And if you continuously grow fonio for 3 years, you will have the soil will be regenerated, and then the women will have, they can grow fonio, they can grow other crops like maize or soya beans and other vegetables on the same field that wasn't fertile in the first place. So we support these women in the whole rural savannah zone. Currently, we work with 5,000 smallholder women farmers, and we support them in various ways. We give them loan, access to loan to acquire inputs. And fonio is a very tiny indigenous cereal that is pertaining to the West African region. And in Ghana, Amaati is the pioneering company that started the revival of fonio because of the problems that I mentioned. And also we realized that most of our lands were being degraded due to, intensive fertilizer application. And women were increasingly getting out of the agriculture, participating in the agriculture value chain because of the lack of access to land. So we decided that we would get abandoned lands in communities, lands that are not used and that are abandoned in communities. And then, we give it to the women to farm fonio, right? And when they do that, for 3 years, the land regenerates, and then they can use the land to grow other crops and grow fonio as well. So we have been doing that for the past 9 years. And, we are proud to say that most of them have actually, doubled their income, and most of them, 60%, according to the survey we did in 2019, are intercropping with other crops. We also at Amaati have hired women who usually are dropouts from school, basically at the factory. 20 women at the factory who are responsible for the processing of fonio. And we are doing that for the same reason. We are doing that because most of these women don't have access to land, and during the off-season, they don't have any job to do. So what we intend to do is to employ these women and, gainfully employed, train them, and then use them to do this processing so that at the end of the month, they can have income to take care of their family needs. So we do that. And then once they process that, we have local markets, and then we have export markets. We sell locally, we sell to institutions, and we sell to quite a number of malls in Ghana and outside Ghana. We export to US, to UK, to Canada, to Switzerland. When we are beginning to start selling in South Africa as well. And throughout this journey, I think that we have been so focused. I mentioned that that's one of the reasons why we have been able to scale up, is that we have been thoroughly focused. I say focused because we have been doing fonio all along. We have done R&D in other innovative products. But for us at Amaati, we think that being focused and putting our time and resources developing one product to a point where we know we are financially independent is one of the ways that we can scale up faster and we can grow. Other products, diversifying into other products is good, but as and when it's financially, we know we are financially independent, and we can diversify into producing other products without necessarily having to manage the resources that we have, is what Amaati is using as one of our growth mechanisms. And it's been working because the resources we have are all focused on developing the value chain. Mind you, the value chain is a new value chain because Amaati is currently the only company, and we are the first company that started the revival of fonio. And what it means is that we are doing everything in the value chain for now. We support the farmers to produce, we buy, we have a factory where we add value, and then we market it as well. Fonio is not as accessible as soya beans, maize, so you literally have to do a lot. We carry out demonstrations. And now the company also have its own farm, over 1,000 hectares of farm, where we are promoting the nuclear system and where we are registering families to farm on these lands, because that is where we can get all of the produce. This is at the heart of Amaati because these women are the reason why we started with this company in the first place, to ensure that they have sustainable incomes, to ensure that they have enough food at home, and not just food, but food that is highly nutritious. So participating in this is particularly important to ensure that Amaati growth is actually connected to these women. So we have the products. Currently, we have Dymphonio flour, Dymphonio grain, which is highly nutritious. It's packed with high fiber, iron, and it's very good to boost your health. And we believe that any investment you make in Dymphonio will contribute significantly to the vulnerable rural women, whilst it's nourishing you and keeping you healthy. Why we do what we do? This is at the heart of Amaati. We are so passionate about the impact that we create. And we do that because of food security issues, because fonio is a crop that can resist drought and that can resist flood, right? It's a wild weed and it's highly adaptable. In this climate zone we find ourselves is becoming more of the sweet crop that farmers are diversifying into, because 8 weeks is mature, then you are harvesting, and you can do that 2 times in one season. And you can get a lot of output, which you can make a lot of money, and then you can feed your family throughout the year. And fonio is the crop that they can store to add any chemicals to it, like we do in maize, to store maize and other grains. Is the ones you put it, you can keep it for more than 10 years without any pest infestation or anything. So, and you can basically use it for any dish that rice can be used for. You can use it for any dish that maize can be used for. So now farmers are using fonio in our sub-region here for the normal dishes that rice and maize can do, because increasingly it's becoming difficult for farmers to break even with maize production. We also do it because we want to keep the environment healthy. We want to ensure that future generations, come back to make the land fertile and continue to participate in the agriculture sector. We do it also because we want to reduce poverty among women, to ensure that they are able to live up to their social responsibilities. And also we do this because of youth employment. That is why we change our business model to the family registration, because we believe that now the people who know how to grow fonio are the aged, but they need to be able to give the knowledge down to the youth who will be in charge in the future. So when we register them in the family way, we realize that most of the youth learn from their parents. And more to that, we give them training and demonstrational farms to get them acquainted with the production practices of fonio. I think what has made Amaati to grow for the past 9 years, apart from being highly focused, also is partnership. We work with other NGOs in the system. We work with other international organizations who have similar objectives that we want to achieve. And they support those women and for us to get enough raw materials for the factory, but also the market aspect of it. You mentioned networking. I think we have been fortunate to network with highly successful organizations or entrepreneurs, and that has really opened doors for Amaati to grow. The other one I would say is that would really help women to scale and to grow a successful agribusiness is to identify the needs of the farmers. For us, the needs that we are catering, which is getting these women access to land, has been one of the best ways to get these women to participate in this farming and to be highly motivated to do it. Also because they have ready markets. And once we are solving the needs, you will see that most of them will come on board. And if they come on board, of course, you are growing together. And the value that you create is very important, because if you give them the value, they give you the value back. which is very important and which can, influence a lot of growth in your company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Salma, for keeping the time and for such an interesting presentation as well. I like very much the highlighting the partnership and the links with the farmers, in addition to, of course, NGOs and other partners, because that's what unites, PAFO and ourselves. We are very keen on supporting entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, but also with the benefit to smallholders and to the communities. And I'm sure you will get many questions on FONIO as a very superfood, actually. We know some of the big chefs that even are using it in the States and elsewhere, chefs from West Africa. So we will get back to you. I see already some questions for you and for Yvonne. We stay in West Africa, but now to Senegal. Alors Marie-andrée Tal est la fondatrice et la directrice de Fruitales au Sénégal.
Is the founder of Fruitales, which is a company created in 2005 and which transforms various vegetables, fruits and vegetables, into mashed fruit, juices for the local market, but also for the international market. Now, we are lucky to have her with us. So she works for FX, which is an institution that brings together various companies and various stakeholders to make companies more competitive. And you're also a part of the Farm Foundation and its scientific council. The KOLEACP actually works with them. You also have been awarded many times the various programs, namely one that was initiated by Hillary Clinton. You have been prized by the French government a few years ago. So without further ado, we listen to you and we're very happy to hear from your experience in Senegal, and I hope that your connection will be good.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Thank you for giving me the floor. So yes, my name is Marie-andrée Tal. I am a teacher in philosophy who decided to explore other fields after an MBA, and I'm quite experienced in a company. I decided to create Fruitales. Created in 2005, a limited company created. It is a company which transforms local raw materials. So we produce a certain number of peppers and other products. Peppers represent 70% of our turnover, and our products are commercialized in Senegal in supermarkets. We have many supermarkets in chains such as Auchan, Casino Exclusive, and others, in petrol stations and convenience stores. We also have a certain number of hotels and restaurants as customers, and we are currently starting to sell on e-commerce websites such as Julia, which is a website that some of you probably know. On the regional market, our products are available in Guinea, and we are testing the waters in Ivory Coast, Gambia, Mauritania also. And as for the international market, we are working with certain distributors in France and in Belgium, targeting the African diaspora in North Europe. So we have a certain number of reasons to be optimistic, because in the Senegal, there's growing demand for local products, and we are also seeing a certain number of supermarket networks developing themselves, and the middle class are interested in them, and also lower classes. Now, we are certainly present in a certain number of supermarkets in Dakar and elsewhere, but we are not yet in the smaller, more traditional boutiques, and we still have a lot of work to do in other regions of Senegal. So we have a lot to do yet. As regards to regional markets, we are trying to transform our presence in a certain number of countries. And so there is a huge potential. A certain number of efforts have been made to streamline exchanges between our different countries. And I believe that we will make it, especially when our products meet the tastes of African consumers. As for Europe, we are also trying to leave niche markets, and we are heading for distribution. As regards our success factors, I would like to say that Fruitales is the first company from Senegal which developed a whole product range based on peppers with different colors of peppers: yellow, orange, red, green. And we also offer products with different textures, and also in association with other products such as ginger, garlic, almonds, and lime. Our desire is to surprise our consumers, putting onto the market new products to enrich the product range in order to innovate in transformation of fruit and vegetables, local fruit and vegetables. We've, for instance, created kakiliba juice, and it is something you can drink hot or cold. It's a fruit drink, basically, and it's a syrup. And so we work a lot strengthening our distribution channels on the local markets and abroad as well. Now, as of our creation, we wanted Fruitales to be a citizen company in line with laws, compliance, and abiding by the law. We wanted a company striving for profitability, of course, but with a high social impact. And here I must say that I can see the testimony of those who came before me. For us, the economic, social, human goals are not incompatible, and therefore, as of the beginning, we decide to hire people from the immediate vicinity. We've trained them, and over time, we've seen with a lot of pride, we've seen them come out of their condition and become heads of families who now send their children to private schools. Our staff also can get a cheaper healthcare because we also work with an insurance. We've also developed the pepper product line, and the products we buy are more and more important, and we strive to improve the quality of what we produce. We are very close to our producers, and we really want a win-win partnership with them. And therefore, as regards prices and so on, we will manage to have good discussions with our partners, producers. And of course, we privilege products that are harvested, produced and harvested by women, because it is the company's choice to favor women's integration. And we also find different supplies on the local market. And so all our fruit and vegetables come from Senegal, our labels, our cardboard boxes, everything, except for glass, which is important. What's the future for Fruitales? Well, we would like to scale up a company. Today, we are in a residential area, and we would like to leave this residential area where we're in because it's a little bit tight for us over there. We're in Dakar, and we would like to build a modern production unit, compliant, fully equipped in the Diamniadio area. It's an industrial area, and this should enable us to ramp up, to buy more raw material, to be able to produce more and create more jobs and more wealth. Over the next 5 years, we are hoping to multiply by 5 or 6 our production. We are optimistic, of course, and we did what we could. We have a know-how. Our products are present on the market. We've got the staff, and we have the desire to train them. As regards the land, we've already bought a plot of land. We've worked on the plans of our new plant. We've also elaborated a business plan. And also, I must say that from time to time, there are doubts, because so far, we've worked with our own equity, and ramping up required us to look for financing. And that's where we had difficulties, because a company needs to develop itself. And unfortunately, I see in my environment many companies who need support to be able to move on to the next step, but which cannot. And therefore, I will, now take time to answer to your questions.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Tal. C'est très, très intéressant comme parcours.
Well, thank you very much. This is extremely interesting. We also learned an awful lot. It is always very important to surprise the consumer. And I believe there are many products, labeling, and they are, yes, they come ahead of time, and they are in line with the consumers' expectations. And there's, of course, this online, your website is very, very interesting, I must say. And then, yes, a broader scale developments. I hope you'll be able to find financing, because it is important to find funds in order to grow. Now, keep an eye on the chat, because we see many encouragements and bravos for all those who already took the floor, but we do have a couple of questions. We can write them down, and I would also like to mention that the PowerPoints will be shared in English and in French, so if you missed something, you will be able to get it. So we remain in the Francophone region in Cameroon. Gaëlle of KENFACK is an entrepreneur from Cameroon, not Senegal, and she founded the Kenza Market, which is a company specializing in the transformation of fruits and vegetables. Pre-cooked and dry organic products. So for a healthy and fast cooking, these are customer expectations. This is something which is, yes, very sought after, especially from urban clients. And your company is one of the first to develop online products. Gaëlle, I can see some background noise. Gaëlle?
C'est pas vous, mais il y a quelqu'un.
It's not you. We've got somebody with a microphone on and background noise. Could you please mute your microphone if you're not speaking? Gaëlle, yeah, please join us. You have the floor. Hello, hello. My name is Gaëlle Laura KENFACK from Kenza Market. And we've been up and running since 2016, and you can see the presentation of the company over here on the screen. There we go. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Great. Thank you very much. So Kenza market is a structure from Cameroon working in food transformation through a concept of pre-cooked products. And so this is the shop, the boutique you can see, which is in Yaoundé, the capital of Cameroon. And on the left-hand side, you can see the spices we sell. So our company was created in 2016. I have an engineering in a background, and I lived in Germany. And as I went on holiday to my country, I saw that we were lacking of packaging, and it is very difficult to do these things in Cameroon. And I thought amazingly nicely packaged product coming from motherland Africa, and therefore, after 10 years of professional experience, I came back to my country and to share my experience with my fellow citizens. And I choose the food industry because I like food, and also because natural products are the future. So we grow and transform organic products, because the control of pesticides and chemicals is very important. And so we work with local farmers, and it is very important to come to the city. And so I go directly to the field, and I have a couple of fields where I grow and harvest myself. And so we have many services at different stores. During the COVID period, since everything was closed, I decided to go for a training as a dietitian, and to teach people to eat and learn our digestive system. And being not a physician, I learned an awful lot of things about how to eat, what to eat, and for those who do not know where to start, I mean, they can use my experience, because I learned so much. And it is true that when you start, there are many things that you have to learn, be it only packaging, but there's so many other things. Well, there's not only packaging. We also have a real estate service. We sell and buy farmland. Slide, please. There we go. So we have many different products. Cameroon, also for us in Cameroon and in Africa in general, we do have a certain number of dishes, very specific dishes, and we also like specific spices. And so we have a wide variety of spices. There's the white Benja pepper, which is the best in the world, for those who wouldn't know. Then we have poultry. We also have dried fish, smoked fish, local flowers also. Today, wheat consumption is starting to be a problem because of gluten. I'm not going to detail this, but we started to sell a certain number of local flours that are easier to digest, such as banana flour, manioc flour, and which is cassava flour. We also have a certain number of pre-cooked dishes and vegetable oils as well. We work with many associations who are in the natural product sector, and there are many foreign companies that are very much interested in these products, and so we've got partnerships with them. We also offer tea, as you can see here, little tea bags, and these are from Cameroon, and these are excellent teas. We're very rich in antioxidants. Next slide. Yes. 2 years ago, we started to launch organic cubes. It's a kind of spiced salt. And for those who use this, well, these cubes are often made with all kinds of chemicals. And this is something which is not very much well accepted anymore. And therefore, we started working on cubes made of salt, spices, and different healthy products. And therefore, this is an invention which worked quite well over here. People love it, and people who use this do not need to use cubes anymore or salts. Yes, next. We also wanted to make cooking easier for those who are very busy, who work all day long, and therefore we've created what we call packs. So these are mixes of blends of ingredients for specific dishes, and we do home delivery for those who are interested. So you have the Ero pack for the Iru, which is a Cameroon dish with vegetables, palm oil, and other products. And so those who do not have time to cook, where they can order these ready-made packs, and once they come home, they can prepare this. So this enables us to be very popular. And we also have this home delivery service, which makes our products extremely popular. And people are really, really happy. So a lot of people buy our packs from with these different ingredients to make various dishes. Next.
Voilà, nos réalisations, donc.
So our achievements. So we have a certain number of products and services. Our labor is qualified, a very large distribution network in Africa and Europe. Many agencies work with us. And yeah, people can also order products on our website, kenzamarket.com. And then we send the products via our various agencies to use air freight. And so we also took part in a certain number of events, TV shows also. If you actually Google Kenza Market, you'll see that we've taken part in a certain number of events. We also were awarded a certain number of prizes, and we increased the production and improvement of packaging. In Cameroon in 2016, it was very difficult to have the right design. So between 2016 and now, a lot has changed. So many people here are now involved in packaging, and so we have a certain number of our partners who work with equipment from abroad, and that helps us improve the packaging. So I invite you to go visit our Facebook page. We have a certain number of products that we display there, and 80% of these products are produced by ourselves. So I'm talking here about processing, right? And then the supply is done by local farmers, or sometimes actually really comes from us. But yeah, you can go and check out our social network. Okay, next page. Yeah, perhaps you could speed up, Kenza. Yeah. So yeah, we want to increase the size of our production factory. We want to multiply our points of sales, so the Kenza market points of sales. We want to modernize the production equipment we use, and we want to extend our activity to the whole of Africa. If we are able to, let's say, to better structure our activity locally, to train the youth who work with us, and explain to them what they can, let's say, what they can earn from this approach, well, this will be a great success. So yeah, on this page now, you can see there's a press book. So you see the certain number of links so that you can check out. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have. Right, yeah, well, thank you, Gaëlle. Many questions already in the chat. Go check them out. It's very interesting to hear about how you renew local cuisine. And I'm sure that the Cameroonese know-how is something that many people are interested in.
Supporting women entrepreneurs, as we do at COLEACP and PAFO. We start by Anna Sommer, who is working at ITC, the International Trade Center, with whom COLEACP has also a lot of collaboration. Especially, she leads the Shetrades West Africa. She has a lot of experience, of course, on women economic empowerment, agribusiness development, and private sector collaboration in her current role, as well as in previous positions at GIZ and other field experiences like Ethiopia with public-private partnerships. You will tell us more about know quite well from my previous work, and very interesting. We saw already one of the entrepreneurs here that benefited, so I'm sure that it will be of interest to many of not only presenters but our very active public. Thank you very much, Anna, from Geneva.
Thank you so much, Isolina, and it's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Yes, so I would like to take the opportunity to present the Shetrades West Africa project to you and the activities and innovations that we can showcase to improve women's livelihoods through inclusive value chains. For everyone who doesn't know the International Trade Center yet, or the Shetrades Initiative, we are the joint agency of the United Nations and the World Trade Organization, and the Shetrades Initiative is ITC's flagship program to increase women's benefit from trade. We have a global network of over 350 partner organizations in 65 countries and have directly supported around 33,000 women-led businesses globally, which has led to over $340 million in trade leads. And we work very closely with partners from the private sector, but also government organizations to build a conducive ecosystem for women in trade through technical expertise in various areas, and are currently present in over 25 countries. So I would just like to take a step back and provide you with a concrete example of the role of women in agricultural value chains, specifically in cashew, where we're focusing on in West Africa, more specifically in Côte d'Ivoire and Sierra Leone. So I would just like to show through this very brief kind of value chain mapping that we're very aware, and all of you probably are, that women play a huge role in all stages of the value chain, whether that is from pruning, post-harvest handling, or even production to processing, where women are often a large part of the employees in local and also more hand-based processing facilities, while men are very much more in management and supervising roles. And we also know that only around a third of exporting companies is owned by women. So also the majority here is managed by men, with few women with resources. And what we can also see is that women's contribution, despite their huge and labor-intensive involvement in value chains is that they're often invisible, in the sense that they have limited access to the resources and inputs that are provided by service providers, national, private sector. In cashew, for example, we know that only around 20% of all farmers that are benefiting from service are women, despite their big role. So what I want to highlight here is, again, this is a big economic potential. And McKinsey has put a figure to this, in the sense that $26 trillion could be added to global GDP if we manage to empower women and create gender equality. So with this business case, we work with business support organizations and service providers. So we look at who are the organizations and private sector service providers that could improve their services to women-owned businesses and women producers. We help them through technical training. So how can good agricultural practices, processing, value addition, or other topics can be better targeted to women farmers and women entrepreneurs specifically. And we also help them at looking at developing a gender-sensitive approach. So looking at, why are women not participating? Why is the woman so low? The women participation rate so low? How can we increase the outreach to women farmers so they are more targeted for inputs and trainings, and the supplier base increases, and therefore their benefit also from these cash crops? We also work directly with micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, and happy to see that even some Shetrades beneficiaries were here today. I would like to highlight a few topics that I think have been of specific impact, or most impact, for some of the SMEs we're working with. I think one major issue that's already just been mentioned by Kenza actually is the packaging and labeling aspect. So we've seen a big impact with SMEs to be able to improve their packaging and labeling, for example, adding an expiration date and the correct labels to their product, which will then allow them to access supermarkets or also international buyers. What we also recognize is that branding and marketing is crucial. We also heard that already today, that the right design is often needed to improve and access the right customer base. So this is something that's been proven very successful, very impactful for some SMEs. And then, of course, there's this topic of access to finance, which is often a topic that gains a lot of attention, but we've also realized that there's a big need to improve, first of all, the business and financial management skills before we even access finance, and improve financial literacy. So there's a lot of work around that. And then I think maybe another topic to highlight, which is getting more and more attention, is the whole climate resilience and circular production issue of trying to also integrate a circular production cycle, which means that there's a value addition in terms of waste and byproducts. And I see there are a lot of champions already in this round that have implemented such measures. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about market linkages. So, of course, as the ITC's mandate is to internationalize SMEs, this is one of our focuses also in this project and in Shetrades, where we try to engage with international buyers and SMEs to facilitate buyer visits, B2B events, trade fairs. And I think COVID has really highlighted that this also isn't enough anymore, and we really have to get the visibility of SMEs and boost their online visibility to really showcase their products online and even have the potential to sell online. So we're working, for example, with influencer campaigns in West Africa. You can see a little screenshot here on the left, where we have worked with an influencer who has a follower base of 500,000 followers in West Africa, which is a huge potential customer base, because there are a lot of excellent products on the ground, but how do you boost these SMEs' visibility so they can access more buyers, more local also consumers, to really help boost their business? So these are a few snapshots I wanted to share. I hope I stayed within the time, and would be happy to reconnect with some of you. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Anna. Very, very interesting. And I'm sure that it will attract a lot of interest from our audience. We go quickly, in the interest of time, for the questions to Annie. Alors, on retourne en RDC, en République démocratique du Congo. Annie,
so we move to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Annie KAMALA is in charge of YPARD. YPARD is an international movement that works at developing agriculture. So Annie KAMALA is in charge of a company that processes cocoa and vanilla, namely. But not only does she produce, she also does empowering of youth, working on gender issues. She's an ambassador for the education of young girls and women organized by the African Union. So very briefly, Annie from DRC, please share your experience with us. I don't know if you have if you're experiencing network issues. Can you hear me? No, we can't hear you. Mohamed, can you do something about this? Annie, go ahead, say something. Annie, can you hear us?
Alors, je crois qu'on a
right. It seems we are experiencing network issues. All right. Well, so well, we'll check this out. And in the meantime, Denyse, are you ready?
So we come back while she sorts. Well, Annie sorts the connection problem in Congo. If you can come in now, Denyse UWERA, you are based in Rwanda. You are an agriculture branding expert. So you will tell us more about you work with cooperatives, women cooperatives, cooperatives who employ mostly women working on coffee value chain, which normally we think wrongly. You will tell us that it's a kind of men-dominated value chain. So you will tell us a bit more about that very, very fascinating work. Please, Denyse, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to talk to the amazing women that are here. And I'm very happy to hear about my colleagues from Western Africa and the amazing work that they've been doing. So, and as you were saying, I'm not really entrepreneur in agriculture, but I work closely with smallholder farmers in my country. And mostly I focus on helping them to develop brands and to be able to compete on markets, especially international markets. And I like the fact that my colleague who talked before mentioned mostly on, owning products and moving from a farmer to becoming an entrepreneur or, going to business side of it. And I wanted to give you an example of one of the brands that I worked on from Rwanda. It's called Angelique's Finest, which is a coffee that is entirely made by women. And it's a top quality coffee. And it is 100% owned by farmers. So, and as you see, the title of my of this page says like when farmers own a product brand, or like when farmers owning a brand. So a brand basically is an intangible asset that someone can own, and it is intended to create distinctive images and associations in the mind of stakeholders or in the mind of clients. Therefore, it generates economic benefits and values. So most of the time when people talk about a brand, they think about having a logo or a name, or maybe having a packaged product. But basically, I wanted to highlight that it's more than that. And I think it's something that is very important to start thinking about as women agricultural entrepreneurs in Africa. Previously, they mentioned about the visuals around packaging and like standardizing it, putting it at a level of international standards as well to be able to compete the bigger brands that we know around. But also having a brand or creating a brand or developing a brand means like putting in time and effort as you're developing a great product inside your package. It's great to also go hand in hand with keeping on developing stories and images and visuals and identification of something that is going to make you different in the minds, especially in the minds of consumers and in the minds of clients. So if we have a product that doesn't really appeal so much and doesn't have like something that is distinguishing it with other products, then it's hard for consumers and clients to think about you when they go to the supermarkets. For instance, we know that there are many coffees around with big companies, from Europe, from developed countries, and even within Africa, there are quite many products. But it's the role of an entrepreneur to think about how is my product going to distinguish itself from the rest. And this is a combination of visuals and stories, words, symbols, designs that is going to create that. And the benefits of having and developing a brand, it's quite many. So it can add value to your product. And also it puts you from being just a producer now to go to the side of business side. And also the higher you can be able to increase the price as well due to the value of your brand. And also the product, of course, can differentiate itself. And at the end of the day, there's what they call brand royalty. And this is quite important because once you develop a great brand, for instance, Fruitales that we saw earlier, it can even be able to sell other products from other countries within that name. And you can be able to earn some money and to get some value because you've been able to develop your name or the brand of your product. So, and I wanted to somehow highlight on this and start making our African farmers and women entrepreneurs in agriculture to also think about investing in this and also starting to look out professionals that are into this area of brand development. So this is an example of the coffee that I've been working with, and has been having great successful stories and successful outcome, especially in Germany as the market. Like now the farmers and the women behind this coffee started very small with 500 packages only of the product. And in 3 to 4 years, now they were able to be present recently this year in more than 800 supermarkets in Germany. And this is also a combination of having a great product, but also a combination of having a strategic and great ways of developing a brand. And with these products also, and in the line of keeping on developing a brand and also keeping on trying to touch and trying to convince consumers' emotions and to start thinking about your product whenever they want to purchase. There's a recent research that was done in Germany. I was part of the team that was doing it. We kind of wanted to know what do end consumers are looking for if we want to do a final product. And we were actually surprised to find out that basically it's not always about quality of the product. Yes, it is important, but we ask a question saying like, what is extremely important? What makes you like go and buy our product as Angelique's Finest? And most of 93% of people reply that it's because we keep on showcasing that there are no child labor in the production of this coffee. And more than 87% say that it's because we keep on seeing that there's a fair payment from all the value chain stakeholders, from the level of the seller up to the level of the first farmer who is the foundation of the value chain. And more than 74%, they are looking for organic products. It's it's quite great to hear that other women who talked to Ari have been tackling on this thing of going into organic farming and going into producing health products, because there's a high demand that is increasing day by day of consumers who are looking for that, and also transparency about the origin and about the production of the product. So you can have a great product on the market, but it's now realized, especially with developed countries markets, especially in Europe and in Germany, the country where this coffee Angelica's Fine is being sold, that there's a high increase, a high demand increase of people who wants to know what am I consuming, where is it coming from, who's producing it, how is it being produced, and who's making it. How much is this person earning? And this is where the idea of joining GIZ's initiative called Denyse came on board. So there's this system called Shetrades. It's a blockchain-based traceability digital tool for sustainable supply chain. And basically with this system, how we works with Angelica's Finest product is that people, like consumers, when they go to buy the product, the Angelica's Finest, they can scan on the package of the coffee. They scan a QR code, as you may see this side, and then see like the origin stories about producers, videos, photographs, and hearing about their messages as well. And they can see the product journey, and they can also be able to give feedback, direct feedback to the producers here in Rwanda, the women who are making the product. And the last thing that I want to talk about a little bit is the importance of storytelling when it comes to developing brands or when it comes to showing the origin of the products. So there can be various ways of showcasing about your product or building a legacy in the minds of end consumers. For instance, Aria, my colleague from ITC, Shetrades, she mentioned about digital marketing, which is something that showed us during the COVID situation that it's quite important to find a way of keeping on talking, keeping on showing your product to people, even if you're not present there, even if you're not able to travel. So this is where the initiative of making a book called Strong Women Behind a Strong Coffee came in. And I authored this book back in 2020. And it basically shows photographs, portraits, and stories of women behind Angelica's Finest. So all these combination of so many and different strategic ways can strengthen a brand, and this can become your asset as well, on top of having a product and on top of being on the market. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to keep on replying to your questions and maybe make more connection. And thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Denyse, for sharing this work with cooperatives in Rwanda, coffee cooperatives. We can know more about the cooperatives in the discussion or in the follow-up exchanges. So without major delay, Annie, is your connection okay now? Annie, est-ce que votre connexion est rétablie?
Annie, is your connection back in DRC? I know it's raining. I got a message. Can you hear us? She can hear us, but I'm not sure we can. Annie? I really can't hear her. Mohamed? No, it seems she's having problems. Okay. Let's carry on. C'est malheureux.
Annie is on. Alors Annie, on vous entend pas.
Annie, we can't hear you.
Pardon? Oui.
Annie, we cannot hear you. Please speak. Speak up.
Parlez pour voir si on vous entend, Annie.
Speak. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Okay, welcome. Go ahead, quickly. Okay. So I was introduced at the beginning. Annie, yes, we introduce you. Please, you may go to move to Agro BIBI. Yes, we're a company where we do social and economic entrepreneurship. We've developed the social entrepreneurship for, we help women in agro business, and we've got a training center in agro business. The idea is to help women develop their companies, and we have a certain number of products that we presented here at the beginning. We transform cocoa and shea and vanilla, and we also train women in agribusiness in DRC, and we'd like to spread this throughout Africa if possible. Agro BIBI, at the beginning, we were motivated to help women economically and help them reduce their poverty and make African women more autonomous, especially women in the DRC. And our targets are fairly easy, but there is a problem of acceptation as regards the beneficiaries, because in the farming world, many women do not cannot accept the programs that we offer, and therefore beyond our technical offers, we've developed a practical training, transformation for farming products, and as threats, we have a certain number of problems in Africa, because women are not easily accepted in society, and we operate in rural areas, and many women are facing a certain number of difficulties, and this is a problem for them. We also have social security issues with women, and there's also non-acceptation of violence, gender violence, and the fact that women are not accepted in society. Then there is also financial support from our local governments, and so we provide access to the training for transformation. And at Agro BIBI, we need support from, need to strengthen our capacity as for young entrepreneurs, and we also need financial support. I'm sorry, I've got a problem here, and I'm losing my voice. I've got a apologies for that. I've got a sore throat. Thank you very much for organizing this and for giving us the floor to take part in this session today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Annie, and yes, thank you to shorten up your presentation because of the presentation connection issues. Thank you for being with us from DRC, and that's where problems start. Network, access to the internet, and it is really not easy for a company.
I'm sure that Emmerance has been collecting carefully your questions. Some of were, of course, bilateral, but have you a summary ready for some of them, Emmerance?
Yes, Isolina, thank you. So the discussion on chat has been quite interesting. I have seen questions, answers. So I thank our participants for carefully listening to this presentation and be very active. And also thank our panelists for trying to respond respond to as many questions as possible. So I have tried to make a summary of questions. So I have actually categorized them into two parts. One are more generic, I would say, that can be addressed to almost all our panelists, but there are other questions which are very specific and I find important to share with you. So for generic questions, starting with first one, so they have asked what are the main challenges for women to accessing financing, knowing that in Africa, this is one of challenges that most women who are involved into agribusinesses initiative are facing. So they have addressed to the panelists to know how they were able to overcome these challenges of accessing to financing. So the second question addressed to the panelists involved the transformation that are being dealt with challenges to meet compliance with sanitary and hyposanitary standards. So this is mostly for women who are more involved into transformation businesses. So they would like to know how they were able to overcome any barrier that exists into in order to meet compliance with these sanitary and hyposanitary standards at international level. So the third question is related to packaging, whereby one of the questions asked was that compliant packaging is a huge problem in Africa. So they wanted to know how our panelists are dealing with this problem. And also they wanted to know if there is any strategy, to make sure that the packaging that are being produced at the local level are linked to the value chains they are involved in. So another question was actually asked specifically for Ms. Tare, but I find it important for all panelists maybe to react on that, is what are the major difficulties they encounter in conquering international market. So apart from the question which I would say are generic, there are specific questions which I find important to see with all the audience. So the first one has been has been addressed to Ms. Salma, whereby the audience has been very much interested with her innovation in restore the land for fonio production. So a question asked was if there is any issue with original owner of the land wanting, to correct the land that now it is well restored. So a second question here was addressed to Ms. Marie-andrée as a processor of local production. So the audience is interested to hear from her how she was able to manage a relationship with. So another question was asked to Ms. Gaëlle on what are advice she can give to a startup entrepreneurship having a wide variety of production like her enterprise. So last but not least, the question asked was addressed to Ms. Anna from ITC. So the audience wanted to know if ITC supports research collaboration initiative. So in generic, those were the questions. So many people from audience wanted to have contact of our panelists. So I will appreciate our panelists because they were able to provide their contact, most of them. But I will also assure the audience that we have collected all those requests and we will be sharing with panelists so they can contact you directly. So thank you and over.
Thank you very much, Emmerance. Yes, I see some coming on ASAP as well, so on that traceability aspect. So what we could do is to get the same order as we started the panel. Yvonne, do you want to start? And you pick up the questions. You are the best place to bring some additional insights. Traceability, okay. SPS, thank you.
Thank you, Isolina. So I'll talk about the questions of the phytosanitary and then the issue of compliance to the international standards and what's happening in the market. I'll just give really short, brief answers and maybe others will give their different opinions. So when it comes to meeting the phytosanitary standards, I'll just say, think about it, even with your own local products when it comes to consumption. Are you more confident to consume products that you know have been produced within the required food safety standards that have been set locally? And now this is also going internationally. So it just means the same thing. If you try to, if you think about that meeting the phytosanitary standards is a barrier, then you will probably not going to be making any efforts to try and actually get into exports. So if you think that compliance is expensive, let me tell you now, compliance is more costly to you as a business. If you look at it more as a way to prepare yourself to be ready for the international market, then you won't look at it as a barrier, but rather an opportunity to grow your business to an international level. And this means that even at the local level, doesn't mean that you should have lower standards because you're selling your product within East Africa, within just your local community. The food safety standards require compliance, whether for local or international, and it's good that every business actually complies with that. Then the next issue is, I think the same also applies to packaging. You want to make sure that everything that you have, how you've packaged your product ensures that it is not contaminated. So compliance then becomes an issue, it becomes a must do, and it's something that probably you would need to just see what are the basic minimums, and then if there's more that needs to be done, for example, you start with the basic certification, and then you go to the extras that then would add you more market access, like what the coffee, the coffee, the women's coffee, and showing that there's actually fair pay for it. You can also still get a market without fair pay, but having your indication that you have fair pay and on your packaging means you get bigger access. I think those are the two. Oh yes, I will also address the last question, which is was more or less the first, which is on financing. When it comes to business, whether you're a woman or you're a man, if you're presenting your case for financing, people will just want to see that you're making business sense, that you have a strong business case. And the tools that have been provided through various programs, including the partnerships that COLEACP has had with different people, the ITC training program. They have various training programs that are both virtual, and I usually say this, your most powerful tool that we have in this generation is that, one, you have access to internet and there's so much information that's available, and you have access to your phone. Just invest time in learning and reach out to networks. There are more people willing to teach you at no cost. What is the barrier in the biggest barrier in accessing the international market? I'll just speak based on my own experience. The biggest barrier is it's not that the international market does not want our product. The biggest barrier right now is that they want more of our product than we can actually produce. So it's up to us to see how do we make sure we can meet the standards that they need, and then instead of isolating ourselves, working together collaboratively to see that we can meet the volumes that they need. Because if you get someone who wants to supply they're supplying a supermarket that has stores. So they have supermarket stores, branches right across all of Europe. Not one African farmer or producer can meet it alone. You would have to collaborate with others. So the opportunity is there. It's how well can we be networked to make sure that we can all meet the standards and sell it as an African brand. And I will say this as the last point. Is it possible to have your own private brand sold in Europe? Yes. As Miyonga, we are actually now already selling a product. We are selling in three ways. One, we are selling a bulk product that the markets in Europe then go and package in their own brand. We are selling in a product where they bring in their packaging and we package it for them. And the last thing is that we're selling it under our own brand name. So it is possible. Yes, I think that's what I'll handle for now. I hope that's okay, Salma.
Yes, very much, Yvonne. A very excellent points, and everything counts actually. Yeah? So you have to be always active and always looking for more information, partners, markets, etc. But the critical one is what you said. Sometimes is you can't provide enough of them what market asks, hence the need to aggregate and to make partnerships. Salma, please, you view some of the questions.
Yes, I think the first one I will address is the women having access to finance. I think that the women should show up more for opportunities, and they should show up more to the financial institutions, and they should show up being very well prepared you know, like my colleague said, they are looking for businesses that are viable. You need to show that your business is viable and they can make returns, and the returns can pay for any financial investment you are looking for. So if you have to show up and you have to be confident, you know, showing up that you can do this, you are committed, you know, to your business, and then your books, your financial books, your audited financials are ready to show them that you are viable. I think if you do that and show up more, please show up more, knock the institutions, and you will get the opportunities to come. Don't have the impression that because you are a woman, if you go there, they will not give you, but you need to actually let them know that you are committed to business and you are well prepared for this financing and your business can pay, right? So that can address that part. The other question I want to address is the phytosanitary. I think that Amaati is organically certified by EcoCert. We are certified organically for both EU and US. And what I would say is that the procedure to do this, if you don't have enough knowledge or the skills in-house to do that, you can hire a consultant, which ITC can help, because I got a consultant from ITC to come to Amaati, you know, to help us transform the factory into what's to a standard, to an international standard where we can actually receive this certification. So I think ITC can be of help, and you know, don't think that you can do it or you can do it all alone. Ask for help if you need it, and get experts to come and help you to develop this. So when you do that, you realize that most of the certifications are similar. The documentation may just be, you know, may just differ a little, but the overall standard is almost the same across board. So when you're able to get a consultant to develop one, you know, a very standard, you know, procedure and a very standard documentation, you realize that you can even acquire more of these certifications, because it's very important for the European and the US market. For you to be recognized internationally, you need to be able to have these standards. And it's very important, not just for, you know, it gives the product some confidence that you are doing what is right, and consumers are not afraid to consume your product because they know that you know, you have passed through the standards and you have certifications. I saw another question regarding whether we are looking for partners in Belgium. Of course, yes. You know, Amaati is working with, you know, quite a number of partners in Europe and in US. We would love to, you know, get in touch. I'll leave my email behind for you to reach out. I think that is all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Indeed, we will explain a bit more towards the end some of the work we do at COLEACP as well. But it's indispensable for some of the markets, certainly export markets, to have a certification and comply with the sanitary and phytosanitary measures and standards. And this is also very helpful and more to the local and regional markets in Africa, where you have to compete with also foreign companies who are very prepared and have been operating in export markets as well. Madame Tal, est-ce que sur les questions, les commentaires, vous avez quelques réponses?
Do you have any answers you want to provide our friends with concerning the questions that have been asked?
Remercie les participants pour leurs encouragements. Alors, j'aimerais revenir sur la question du financement.
I'd like to perhaps answer the question about financing. Well, as far as I'm concerned, concerning financing, there are certain easy ways that are not adapted to smaller companies who want to move to the, let's say, industrial size. So I'd be perhaps provocative saying this, but, you know, I'm not not sure that I really trust these various programs that target young entrepreneurs or female entrepreneurs, right? It's true that sometimes women will work miracles, right? But not always. Sometimes, you know, we really need the resources. And then often when we need the resources, well, we have to get go all the way to banks and the various financial institutions. And well, we all know how financial institutions usually deal with women, right? And so if we want let's say major women leaders out there, well, in that case, well, we need to make sure that we prepare the support that we provide them with. I have an answer also. I was asked, you know, well, so how it happened when I began. Well, it's consumer testimonies, right? That helped me. So people who walk by my products in supermarkets, and they came to the products and said, okay, well, no, it's perhaps not good. I mean, this pepper is perhaps not really good, because we had tried to work on the packaging, right? But then soon enough, they noticed that it was well done. It really came from Senegal, and that it really was hot, you know, chili hot. So people, yeah, do change. And I think that more and more, let's say, people are demanding regarding the quality of the product, but not only the quality of the packaging. Quite often I meet entrepreneurs who tell me that they have an issue with packaging. And what I tell them is that the product is the packaging. And I'm quite, I quite liked what Denyse said, you know, Denyse from Rwanda, saying that it's very important to work on this aspect. And it's true that all of this is part of the product, and you can't say that you've come up with a product if you don't find the right packaging and that you have packaging issues. Now, in the design itself of the product, the way it's going to be used, well, you need to, whatever process you go through, right? But all of it is part of the product, and it's extremely important to not neglect any of these aspects, right? Now, for the jars that I use, for instance, I import them and I have to import them container-wise. Yeah, so this is a constraint. Now, concerning the relations with suppliers, I try to work contract-based, right? But what I noticed is that producers that were eager to sign contracts were not necessarily very respectful of these contracts, right? And some of my suppliers are, let's say, a constant since we started working on mutual trust, right? Now, I always pay up front, and I'm very, let's say, careful on the price that I pay and so on. So I think that the trust is very important. So contracts is very important, yes. And I'm sure that institutions such as COLEACP can help to find the right level of contract-based relationships, and the producers hope that when they sign contracts, well, the financing schemes come along with these, but this is not necessarily the case. So I guess that it could be a good thing to have a bank that will ensure that the contractualization works. So this is something that we really need to build, I believe. Now, concerning international standards, well, when you export, you have to be in line with international standards. Now, the big problem is that in order to meet international standards, you need certifications, and certifications have a cost. So I believe that some companies will not manage to get there on their own. So a few have managed, but most people need help in order for their products to be certified. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, do you still have a lot to say? Because we need to wrap up. No, I just wanted to say a quick word about the let's say how difficult it is to access the international market. But well, no, perhaps not going to go down that, because Denyse, yeah, already mentioned this, and she's let's say better placed than I am. Okay, well, anyway, thank you very much for everything you said. I perhaps listen to Gaëlle. Gaëlle, you perhaps want to add something? Gaëlle, are you still with us? Right, it seems Gaëlle is experiencing network issues. Right, in that case, Denyse, do you have anything you want to add?
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the international, like how to compete on international market, how to market or like sell the products with my friend from DRC Congo, and also a little bit about packaging and traceability, but I just make it as short as possible. So with packaging, my colleagues mentioned it, but basically what I can say is that there are 2 steps to get a great package that you're looking for. You cannot go to the shops or to the market, especially here in our countries in Africa, and find the perfect packages that you're looking for, because you're the one who knows your product and you're the one who knows how you want to present your product to the market. So what you do, you have to create a design, which is the visual look of the package. And this is done as a mock-up or something, I may call it like the way you want to make a house. You go to an architect, and then he or she makes a drawing for you, and then you go to the person who's going to make the house to build it, the constructor. So basically, there's one part of making the design, and then you have to discuss with an expert in this area, come up with the text, visuals, and everything that you want your product to look like. Then you go to the side of production. So production, unfortunately, we don't yet have so much of places here in Africa that can help us and give us better prices when it comes to production of the package. But like my colleague Marie-andrée mentioned it, there's a possibility of importing already made packages, but these ones don't have the stickers or are not yet designed as the way you want to design them. So for instance, with Angelique's Finest, what the women behind this product did, so I created a design for them, and then they get contacts from China, and then sent the design to China, and then production was done there, and the containers of the packages came when the packagings are ready. And then what they do, they just fill in the products. Yeah, and then just to talk a little bit about getting to the market, to my colleague from DRC, there are 2 ways to get to the market with the agriculture products from Africa. You can go there as having a low material. So if you're in coffee, you can go with a green coffee. If you're in maybe chocolate cacao, then you can export cacao, and then they make chocolate later. So there's a way of exporting a product that is still in the middle, not a finished product, which is what is being doing here mostly. But this one doesn't really give so much when it comes to the value, and also getting as much money as farmers in Africa could be getting. So, but the second one is to export or put to the market a finished product, which is the case with Marie-andrée or even my other colleagues from Kenya, or even with Angelique's Finest. So you need first to sit and then decide which product do I want to take to the market, raw material or finished product. And then after that, you can position yourself depending on that. And then to end, I just want to talk a little bit about traceability. So how we do it here in Rwanda with coffee. So the system that I talked about, Shetrades, uses blockchain technology. So when a farmer delivers coffee to the washing station to start processing, then the cooperative staff not put this data in the system, like this, how many kilograms a farmer brings, and the name of farmers already in the system. And then at the end of the day, depending on which level of the value chain, people keeps on adding information in the system, and then the end consumer can see this information through scanning the QR code. But depending on your partners, you can also still do your traceability by doing even with books. It can also be possible, or doing it with simple softwares in your computer. Traceability is about showing place and when something was done in the value chain. So as long as you have good ways of documenting that, then you are doing well in traceability, and you'll be able to give transparency at the end of the day, which is something that is nowadays helping a lot when it comes to marketing and competing to the international market, especially nowadays. I think this is also a good way to compete with these big brands, as we were asking, because mostly there's no much information when it comes to the value chain. But if you are able to provide this together with your product, you can also shine on the market. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Denyse. So on the packaging, Annie has sent a message that she wants to add something. Annie, are you online from RDC? Annie, vous vouliez dire quelque chose, peut-être que la connexion n'est pas rétablie. Vous avez envoyé un message.
Perhaps Annie is no longer with us. You sent us a message with regards to packaging. Anyway, okay. Anna.
Thank you, Isolina. Yeah, a lot of great questions. I would like to maybe come back to the question regarding the research collaboration first. So generally, we do work with research organizations on the ground. We have, for example, in Sierra Leone, with an agricultural research organization on improved seedlings for cashew grafting, but this is very context specific. So if there are any interested research organizations out there, please feel free to get in touch. Regarding access to finance, I think there were a lot of challenges that were already mentioned that I don't have to further elaborate on, but I would maybe like to highlight that Shetrades has also got a very specific project to connect women-owned businesses to potential financial institutions, which is called the Shetrades Invest. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in finding out more about this project in applying through our website and providing the data about your company, as we have many partner organizations and financial institutions who we work with, and then basically screen the database of women-owned businesses to see who are compatible with which kind of due diligence requirements. And then there was another question regarding the sector choice in Guinea I would like to refer to. So this is always a big discussion on which sectors we work in and where we focus. And generally we do the sector selection together with national institutions and governments in the country. And although we have 3 sectors we're working on in Côte d'Ivoire, more focus is then basically going into one country, like in Guinea. And although there's a priority sector, some of the SMEs we work in, for example, also work on products such as fonio. So there is a bit more of a diversification. And yeah, happy to share my contacts and more information about our activities after the session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Anna, as well, for bringing all these insights and the support that ITC can bring. I think more or less we have answered all the questions. Of course, this is a conversation, as we say very often. It's not just one-off, but we keep, today we decided to focus on women-led enterprises, but we have women-led enterprises in every session, and we make sure that among the panelists, and of course we would like more and more women as attendants as well as participants, but we make sure that we feature always women-led businesses, because it's not one-off, it has to be embedded in every activity we do. I think most of the topics have been already shared, and we made an extensive, I think, background note as well with references. One that keeps coming, of course, is the access to land. And how can you export? Or can you, I see questions on the chat, if you don't have access to land? Well, that's the tricky one indeed, because access to land is very much linked to the policy of a country. And of course, it has to go forward and reforms have to happen. In the meantime, some of the entrepreneurs today and the regular ones we have in the sessions also show that sometimes you don't need access to be owning land per se. You know, you have also other ways of using a land without necessarily having the money to buy it. So you can go around this as well. But the thing is to be innovative, to try to bring products to the market which add something. I mean, not just always the same and bring more competition to the competition and just low down the prices, but, you know, make innovations, niche products, development, packaging, as we are said, is very important, all the visual and analyzing always what of course the consumers want and expect. So it's a non-stop work actually of reskilling ourselves. What I would like to say very, very quickly is that my DG cannot be with us today, but very quickly, because my colleagues were attending, we follow each request one after the other very, very seriously. But what COLEACP does in a very short, we will support more and more the women entrepreneurs than we do today, although we already do a lot. Basically what we do, and it has been coming all along this session today, is support to training for women entrepreneurs, training from business management to certification to bookkeeping. I mean, you know, the whole business environment, access to certifications, which of course is very, very important. About half of our work is to export markets and half is local and regional markets. So it's critical to have certification and to respect the SPS issue, the standards, all the business development and bringing entrepreneurs in close collaboration with buyers, with markets, B2Bs, I mean, all that area, which we will follow with some of our business people here in the sessions. We have all the link to finance as well. We link them, we are in kind of an intermediary organization, linking them as well and supporting when they need, because it's very much demand driven, you know, to meet some of the requirements by finance institutions. And of course, also all the business intelligence, you know, knowing more about your markets, your products, the expectations of the consumers and so on. It is very much demand-driven. We will have a series of regional workshops as well to launch new programs that we have now financed by the European Union and the Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States. So you can follow that online as well. But it's all demand-driven. So don't hesitate. Axel has put each time the email, you should contact us. She follows every email very carefully, including when you want to have the contact of people that have been speaking today or in other sessions. We don't share, again, I repeat, we don't share the list of contacts because it's not allowed by law, but we can ask the person, you know, with whom you want to get in touch and link you with absolutely no problem if everybody is happy with it. And so send us any proposal. If some of you have seen a very lively, as always, chat, if some of you want also to present their case, their business, their experience, please also send an email to us and we will be happy to accommodate you. So without major delay, Axel, if you have something from your side, Emmerance, I don't know if, yes, the president of PAFO is online. So I don't know if anybody wants to add something. We are 5 minutes past, so we have managed. Axel says it's all good for our side. Yes, Emmerance?
It's just to thank our participants and to invite them for the future sessions to come. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, and follow what we will. Most of you are registered as well to our newsletter, so you will know all the all the things we do as well. Monsieur le Président de la PAFO, merci beaucoup du Tchad.
Chairman, thank you very much for opening the session from Chad and for being with us for these 2 hours. It's not always very easy, so thank you so very much, and thank you to all the PAFO members.
Oui, Monsieur PALEBELE, merci beaucoup.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. PALEBELE. Thank you very much, Isolina. I am delighted for this session. I've followed it very closely. This is a session, I learned so many things during this session, and in fact, time flew. I must acknowledge, I think we've discussed this question on transformation, financing, market conditioning, transformation, and I realized that African women are full of experience, and we need to valorize it, because that's also the role of PAFO. We need to valorize all this, and here again, we need to see beyond and in other sectors, such as the health sector. We have many practitioners, and we have to capitalize this knowledge. Even if we don't use it, we can store it somewhere to use it one day. And therefore, this discussion today with these women was extraordinary. There's so much wealth in Africa, and women are extremely wealthy in Africa. And I would like to congratulate them. I would like to congratulate all the participants today for this initiative, for it to carry on, and for it to thrive in the future. And we feel really, I mean, PAFO is available to support all these initiatives. And so, Isolina, thank you so very much for your support. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairman, you and your colleagues from PAFO who co-organized the session with us. And you always present local business cases, African business cases, and small, medium, big ones, but always on the market and innovative. So it's a great pleasure to be with you. Have a lovely day, and see you again in 2 months' time. As Emmerance said, thank you very much for your being with us and for your enthusiasm. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.